Hi all, welcome to this potential Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year for the SPFL. But might as well let folk aware of this just to give you plenty of food for thought. And because we had like Liga MX for example randomly dropping, we may finally get something for the SPFL. But with Rangers and Celtic having like agreements with PES, this may or may not happen. But I thought I'd at least let you be aware of it to give you food for thought, and then of course take it from there. So in terms of the potential nominees, like they aren't out yet for what I read. Like the awards go live next Sunday. But looking at it, the standout candidates look like McGregor, Halkett, Tavernier, McKenna, Tierney, Lewis Ferguson, Ryan Christie, Callum McGregor, James Forrest, Morelos and Edward. Like, and looking at it, Young Player of the Year, the way they're trying to set this up, it looks like it'll either be Edward, Tierney or Lewis Ferguson, maybe even Ryan Christie if he possibly, and then like even McKenna's got a shout as well, but because they seem to be under the impression because he plays for Aberdeen, like, because he doesn't play for Celtic or Rangers, it's like, which is and it's a bit sad really. This is what like media seem to put out, which is a bit of a shame really. But Halkett is an interesting potential one, obviously because Livingston have had a good season, but they've kind of drifted off in the second half, but they could still be happy with their season regardless. But looking at what everyone seems to be saying from media, fans and people involved with Scottish football, they seem to be under the impression Player of the Year will either be McGregor or Forrest. They seem to feel McGregor has been more consistent, and if that's the case then, which he has in all honesty, he's been more consistent. Forrest has had games where he has kind of just like disappeared, you don't even know he was on the park, and while he's got a lot of goals this year and a lot of special cards to boot, he's got 3 informed and a man of the match card, so a team of the season would be nice of him, but also a Player of the Year version if they were to do an SBC or a weekly objective would be rather nice. I think, I remember last year when I spoke on this that I think we were all hopeful of Tierney for example getting a player, like a Young Player of the Year card would be nice, but I think the way we've got to hope for this is if we do get an SBC, which I kind of see coming, could I see coming, I'm 50-50 on, same with weekly objective, but it would give us content. That's the way I am looking at it. For me, I would say McGregor, Forrest, Tierney, Edward. I get the impression it's just going to be a Celtic double, which is a bit of a shame really, because I feel Ferguson's been very impressive for Aberdeen, and in all honesty that would be I think if Lewis Ferguson won it, they would give him a very, very mental boost. Like if they were to do like what they did for Aarons for example, suddenly Ferguson could be a very appealing centre mid. He'd be quite well rounded with the right stat boosts. Forrest would be just kind of like your generic pacey winger with like 99 and like shooting, pace with maybe decent shooting, decent dribbling, but he might not have a great end product. McGregor will be not too shabby for like a cam at 86 rated, but a lot of the folk will be more interested in like your 90 rated cards at this point, so that's kind of where Forrest is the only one who would fall into that bracket. If Tierney was to somehow win the award, like Young Player of the Year award, because they seem to think Edward may struggle to win it, which I can kind of understand. He's had games where he's been there, stood out very impressively, and then had some games where he's just been like, was he even there in the first place? Whereas obviously Tierney's had a lot of injury issues this year, so you're kind of thinking if Tierney's winning it, then what was the point of the award almost? So my thinking would be if Tierney won, they're going to have to make it better than the Liga SBC card, and by better I don't mean like say 2 or 3 ratings, I'm talking like 5 or 6, so it's a substantial upgrade. And in honesty, a lot of folk enjoy Tierney's card, having something a bit more substantial on top, it gives you an alternative still to Robertson, but if it's near enough similar ratings to what their team of the season would roughly work out at, I think a lot of folk wouldn't exactly knock Tierney as an alternative, especially if it's not too expensive, regardless if it's a SBC or a weekly objective. I think if it was in Tierney's case, it would be an SBC, and it'd probably set you back a little bit because they will. But with any of them, regardless, if it's an SBC, expect them to go by club, the league, and a rated squad with maybe nation as well. So at the very cheapest, you may find it's costing you between 30 and 50k, and depending if it's Forrest or Tierney at a more expensive rate, then you could be talking nearer 100, 120k. I can't see it going too much more, because I would imagine the tradable versions of team of the season cards for them wouldn't exactly be too much, really, because Forrest would probably be like 50, 60k, Tierney might be a little bit more, like 70, 80k, but they're not going to be like folk going all out to go and try and get them. Edward might be quite appealing with the right boost, and saying that, he's been due a couple informs this year, same with Morelos, who, like Morelos, I think if he hadn't had his discipline issues, could have easily have been a strong candidate, because he's missed a lot of games due to his discipline, which is a bit of a pity really, but it is what it is. So in terms of going back to SBCs, I'd imagine it'll be 83, maybe 84 rated squad, Scotland, then Scottish Premiership, and then something maybe Celtic related. So fundamentally, say 4 routes that you've got to prepare yourself for. If it was obviously Lewis Ferguson was to win, it'll be Aberdeen, Scottish Premiership, then maybe a rated squad. But I wouldn't imagine you would need any informs for anyone except for Tierney or Forrest. I'd imagine you'd maybe need like 1 inform, 2 at the most. But saying that, if they did 4 squads, and like kind of how they done like Vela, where it was Celtic, Scottish Premiership, Scotland, and honestly, it wouldn't exactly be expensive. You'd just be adding like 4 cheap routes together, but it's just bulking it up just to make it give you a bit of at least packs to kind of entice you into doing it, on top of doing the card, as it were. So it's like you're getting 4 packs to make you feel like, oh, it's quite could get something worthwhile out of 4 packs, on top of a player that's maybe like 90 plus rated. With the weekly objective way of doing it, I would imagine it would be either a Scotland player or Scottish Premiership. I'm hoping if it was Scottish Premiership, I would imagine you'll see a lot of Morelos, you'll see a lot of Tierneys, you may see a lot of Forrests, so be prepared for that. And you may even see a lot of Scott Sinclairs, for example, and anyone else that's bagged and informed that's quite decent from a Scottish Premiership perspective. But I would imagine Forrest, Tierney, Morelos would be the most common, especially folk that do like the SBC crafting just now. There'll be a lot of folk just doing that and enabling options to get themselves whatever the card may be, whether it be Tierney, McGregor, Forrest, Ferguson, Edward, whoever it may be. If we were to get 2 cards, it would be fun. We rarely get SPFL content within the game, so it would be nice to at least see it on top of the league SBCs and some of the informs that we've had, and some of the informs that we've sadly not had. Like the man of the matches that we got for Uchi, Pizu and Forrest were quite nice last week, so it'd be quite nice to see some player of the year cards as well for a change. Like I've been hoping for it for the last couple of years. Hopefully it's 3rd time lucky. But let me know, folks, down in the comments below who you would like to see win a SPFL player of the year or young player of the year, and like give your thoughts of like what range. How would you like it? Would you like it as an SBC? Would you like it as a weekly objective? Or would you even or if there was or if it was in packs, for example, potentially. But I would imagine it would just be an SBC or weekly objective. But plenty of food for thought as always, folks. So take it easy all. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you all later.